Now let's dive into our breaking story of the day and discuss the Bitcoin price action surging 10 to 100x from here. You do the math. 10x from 37,000 is $370,000 per Bitcoin, and 100x would take the king crypto to $3.7 million per BTC. So let's break this down. I got some bullish price predictions. Let's start with the Giga Chad himself, Michael Saylor. He recently shared in an interview the following, which I transcribed. Bitcoin is an asset class, and that's a major revolution. If Fidelity and BlackRock and if 10 other ETF issuers all agree, the Bitcoin is an asset class, which it is, it should be 10x to 100x bigger than it is right now. So we're talking about, the Bitcoin market cap is currently sitting between 500 billion and $1 trillion, probably closer to 500 billion. Let's actually look on CoinMarketCap together real quick and see where we're at so we can make some projections together. Let's check it out. So right now, wow, the Bitcoin market cap is at $727 billion. So just shy of $1 trillion. So to run the math, according to Saylor, if we were to 100x there, we're talking about, I would guesstimate maybe wow, can someone run the math? It's not an even number, but 100x that is a pretty damn big market cap. We're talking about probably 70 trillion. I'm just ballparking it because I don't know the exact number. And then we have Max Keiser, who made a prediction a little bit back. He said, Bitcoin has already and will continue to outperform everything else so spectacularly by 100x or more, that everyone holding fiat currency, stocks, bonds, gold, and all of the ish coins, property, etc., will literally be impoverished. So there you have another 100x prediction. Do you think Bitcoin is likely to run against everything else at a factor of 100x? Let me know. And you run the math. I mean, if gold hypothetically were to soar, where are we at? 2,000 today's prices for an ounce. Bitcoin, he's basically saying for every dollar gold goes up, expect Bitcoin to go up 100x. So would you rather have minuscule gains or phenomenal life-changing gains? Those are the options for you right now. Now, here's some other predictions that Max Keiser made. He said he made these predictions, I believe, a while back for 2023 and moving forward. He said Bitcoin will beat gold by 100x, kind of like I just shared with you. He says altcoins will get shut down and go to zero, many of which are. El Salvador will be debt-free by 2030, and this growth will be powered by the rise of the Bitcoin price action to $1 million per coin. And he says it's a mathematical certainty. Now quoting him from one of his predictions. So even 1% of that multi-$100 trillion funds available moves the needle to Bitcoin, and it moves it up considerably. And if we get, and he's referring to these major asset managers allocating into Bitcoin, if we get into the 5 to 10% range, then you start to really see it raise ahead to the 7-figure Bitcoin type predictions that people have been making, including myself, because Bitcoin is an asset class. Preach. Now, I have another prediction of another 100x from another influencer, one of the founders of PayPal by the name of Peter Thiel. He says, check this out. This is actually a tweet I made a while back. Billionaire PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel shared his list of enemies stopping Bitcoin from rising 100x last year while speaking at the Bitcoin 2022 conference in Miami, Florida. How many of you were there? I was. Let me know. Quoting him here. The enemies list is a list of people who I think are stopping Bitcoin. There is a lot of them. They tend to have nameless, faceless, bureaucratic perspectives, which is, of course, one of the ways they hide. Check this out. We are going to try to expose them and realize that this sort of what we have to fight for Bitcoin to go up 10x or 100x from here. In some perspective, at the time he made this prediction in 2022, Bitcoin was just north of $40,000 per coin. So he's ultimately calling for a $4 million Bitcoin price. He continues, the central banks are going bankrupt. We are at the end of the fiat money regime. Preach. The first person on the list is the one and only Berkshire Hathaway CEO, Warren Buffett. Thiel put up a picture of Buffett with two of his most famous quotes about Bitcoin, which we all know, rat poison squared, and I don't own any, and I never will. Then he opined, I think the sociopathic grandpa from Omaha is perhaps the most honest and most direct in it. Thiel further noted that Buffett has a bias that makes him long on the fiat money system, and money managers who follow the Berkshire Hathaway executive's advice will pretend it's complicated to invest in Bitcoin, which we all know is nothing more than FUD. Next up on the list, the next person on the list of enemies is JP Morgan Chase CEO, Jamie Dimon. And I'll stop you right there because I actually reacted to a short of Jamie Dimon the other day when he was calling Bitcoin a pet rock and a fraud and threatened any employee of JP Morgan Chase. If you get caught trading or touching Bitcoin, you will be fired. At that same time, that same week, he was purchasing mass amounts of Bitcoin and starting a trading desk. Tika Tawari exposed him. So when you have these major influencers, the enemies of Bitcoin, the Warren Buffetts, the Charlie Mungers, the Jamie the Tapeworm Dimons, when they're on national television making their rounds, bashing Bitcoin, why are they doing it? They're buying it behind closed doors. They're trying to crash the price, manipulating the market to take advantage of you. They're purposely misleading you. They don't want you touching Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the only money they can't control. It's the only unconfiscatable money. It's the only perfect money. It's the only money with a finite limited supply, and they don't want you to touch it. Why is that? It's a direct threat to the powers that be. It's a direct threat to the central bankers. Bitcoin was invented to decapitate the heads off the central banking system. You know what I mean? Like, real talk, Bitcoin is an enemy to the powers that be. They may brush it, like, oh, it's not a big deal, but this is all planned. This is an orchestrated attack. You must know who the enemies of Bitcoin are, right? Know who the enemies are. Anyone talking negative about Bitcoin, comparing it to a banana or a frickin' pet rock, don't listen to them. You know what I mean? What did Jim Cramer say a few weeks ago? Mr. Bitcoin's going down. Sorry, I wouldn't touch Bitcoin. It's going down. Bitcoin's up 40% since. They're here to mislead you. You know what I mean? Welcome to Channel Zero. Just want to preach the truth. You know what I mean? Because I'm sick and tired of these enemies of Bitcoin. But guess what? Bitcoin doesn't really have any real enemies because no enemy can stop it. Bitcoin's going to continue to do its thing regardless. But anyways, back here. The next person on the list of Bitcoin's enemies is JP Morgan Chase, Jamie the Tapeworm Dimon. They'll put Dimon's picture up with a quote. I don't call them cryptocurrencies. I call them crypto tokens because currencies have rules and laws behind them. Central banks and tax with authorities. The next picture he put up was of the BlackRock CEO, Larry Fink, who just... If you didn't know, Larry Fink, who is the CEO of BlackRock, right? He once called Bitcoin an index for money laundering a few years ago. Now, lo and behold, he's all in on Bitcoin, about to launch the first Bitcoin ETF in the world, right? Complete 180. But maybe when he was bashing it then, he was probably trying to buy it up and stacking it on the low. I wouldn't put it past them because these are corrupt mofos at the highest levels. You know what I mean? Just wanted to keep it real, fam. You know how it is. So yeah, let's get back to this right here. I see huge opportunities in a digitized crypto blockchain related currency, and that's where I think it's going. Now, the PayPal founder added that Fink's quote is somewhat representative of the whole genre of Bitcoin attacks that need further context, stating that pro-blockchain is an anti-Bitcoin term. Very typically, Thiel then brought up the environmental, social, and governance standards, elaborating on ESG, the label they've come up with, and perhaps the real enemy is ESG. Wasn't Elon the FUD puppet Musk hiding behind this narrative on why he had to stop taking Bitcoin payments for Tesla? Again, just more FUD. I think that ESG is just a hate factory. Preach. And shout out to Peter Thiel for calling them out. He stressed, you can always ask the question, what's the difference between ESG and the Chinese Communist Party? Well, when you think ESG, you should be thinking of CCP. Thanks for keeping it real, fam. It's the finance gerontocracy that runs the country through whatever silly virtual signaling and hate factory to them, like ESG. The billionaire concluded, this is what I would call and what we have to think of as a revolutionary youth movement. And we have to just go from this conference and take over the world. So preach. There you have it. My crypto fam, let me know your thoughts on some of these predictions. We touched upon Max Kaiser, 100x prediction, short-term target of 220,000. We touched upon Michael Saylor projecting on the back of these ETFs. We're going to see Bitcoin soar between 10x and 100x bigger than it is right now. And we also touched upon Peter Thiel's prediction that the Bitcoin price can soar 100x. And again, from the time he made that prediction, Bitcoin was trading at $40,000. So he's ultimately projecting a $4 million Bitcoin price action. Let me know, fam, in the comments right down below.